My sister made my daughter babysit her toddlers for hours every day, while she went to salons and shopping. Then she blamed her for something she didn't do. My parents took her side. But I found a way out, and their lives changed forever. When I pulled into my sister's driveway and saw the ambulance parked out front, my heart dropped straight into my stomach. I didn't even bother shutting off the car. I ran up the steps, lungs burning, heart thudding in my ears. One thought, Mia. Something happened to Mia. I didn't take off my shoes. Just burst through the front door. In the living room, an EMT, Kimberly holding her youngest, and that kind of silence that hums before people start screaming. 4-year-old Lily was hiding behind the couch. And Mia. Mia was standing in the corner like someone nailed her there. Pale face, red eyes. Frozen. What happened? I asked, staring at the bruise blooming across the baby's forehead. The EMT turned to me, calm. Professional. He fell off the couch. Hit his head. No concussion. Just a bump. Keep an eye on him, but there's nothing serious. Thank you, I managed to say. Mia didn't move. She wasn't crying. She just stood there like blinking might cause the whole world to collapse. As soon as the EMT left, Kimberly exploded. He was with her. I stepped out for 1 minute, literally 1 minute, and when I came back, he was already on the floor. Mia, you were supposed to be watching him. I told you I was going to the bathroom, Mia's voice cracked. You nodded. He was asleep. I didn't think he'd wake up. I came back and he was crying. I didn't see him fall. I swear. Oh, so now this is my fault? Kimberly snapped. You left 2 toddlers alone and now you're blaming me? Okay, maybe let's not do this, I said, stepping between them. Mia is not a babysitter. She's a child. You know she's been watching your kids every single day. And you know you're living here for free? Kimberly shot back, sweet as poison. Maybe a little gratitude instead of telling me how to parent. Behind me, I heard Mia break. Not sniffles. Not quiet crying. Just full-on collapse. I wrapped my arms around her and pulled her close. That's enough, I said, sharper now. You don't get to dump this on her. Oh, I don't. Kimberly scoffed. And who are you, exactly? The sister who got evicted and moved in here like a stray cat? You don't pay a dime, but you sure love giving speeches. Bullseye. Right then the front door opened. John walked in. What's going on? He asked, taking in the room. Why's the baby crying? What's all the yelling? Jason fell. Mia wasn't watching him, Kimberly snapped before anyone else could speak. That's not true, Mia whispered. No one heard her. John walked over, gently took the baby from Kimberly, and looked at the bruise. Did a doctor check him? Yeah. Said it's fine, Kimberly muttered. Then why are we shouting? John asked, looking beyond done. Everyone's okay. Just a bad day. It happens. But Kimberly wasn't done. She was already calling Mom. I heard her talking. Hey Mom. Yeah, he's okay. Guess who dropped the ball again? Of course it was Mia. She was supposed to be watching him, and instead she just disappeared. And Sarah? Oh, Sarah's doing her usual act, defending her no matter what. John? He's here. Saying no big deal like always. I looked at Mia. Let's go. We went upstairs. She sat on the bed, still shaking. I dropped the grocery bag I'd brought, cereal, frozen lasagna, oranges. It felt ridiculous now. Like I'd shown up with party balloons to a funeral. Mom, she whispered. I really didn't see him fall. I asked Aunt Kim to watch him. She was sitting in the chair on her phone. I said, can you watch him for a sec? And she just waved me off without even looking. He was asleep. I figured I had time. I didn't think. I pulled her in and held her. Tight. She didn't need to explain. I knew her. And I knew Kimberly. My phone buzzed. Message from Mom. Kimberly said Mia left the baby alone. Why are you defending her again? You always take her side. Kim does more for you than you deserve. I locked the screen. I'd seen this text before. The names change. The script never does. I got up, locked the bedroom door, then came back and sat beside Mia. We sat in silence. Downstairs, dishes clanged. Cabinets slammed. Kimberly wasn't letting this go. I could already hear it, the cold silence, the passive-aggressive comments, maybe even the casual suggestion that maybe it's time to think about your own space. But all I could think was, I let them turn my daughter into unpaid labor. And now, after one bad moment, they were painting her as the bad guy too. No. That ends now. I squeezed Mia's hand. She looked at me, like she could feel something shifting. I didn't say it. Not yet. But this was the beginning of the end. And some people were about to feel it. If someone had asked me back then how we ended up living in my sister's house, I probably would have tried to make a joke. Something like, oh, I just really wanted to experience what it's like to be hated over breakfast, lunch, and dinner, just for fun. But the truth? Way less dramatic. I'm 35. I'm a programmer. Or, I was. Until the layoff. The startup I'd been with for 3 years suddenly collapsed, investors vanished, the office shut down, and my last paycheck came with a shrug and a vague promise about maybe stock options someday if things turn around. So what I had left, debt, overdue bills, and Mia. She's 15. My daughter, my anchor, my reason to not lose it completely. We've been through a lot together, and I've tried to be everything for her, mom, friend, protector. She grew up learning not to ask for much, and I watched her get quieter and braver with every year. Then came the letter from the landlord, 2 weeks to move out. At the time, I thought I could still pull it together. Just the day before, I'd gotten a call from a big company. They were looking for someone for a short-term contract project, remote work, flexible hours. Not a dream job, but it was something. The guy on the phone said, "You're a great fit. We'll confirm in writing. Project starts in 3 weeks. 3 weeks. I didn't have 3 weeks. I didn't have rent money either. I hadn't even figured out where we were going to stay when Kimberly called. Yep. Little sister. 10 years younger, prettier, always the golden child. I hadn't talked to her in months. But our parents had apparently filled her in, job loss, apartment, the whole story. And she called with this voice full of sympathy, like we were close or something. "Sarah, come on. Don't be silly. Come stay with us. We've got space. Stay as long as you need." It's funny how easy it is to offer help when you've got an angle. Back then, I wanted to believe she was sincere. Maybe she'd changed. Maybe she'd grown up. Maybe I was holding on to old grudges for nothing. I cried after that call. Back then, it was relief. Now? It's anger. Anger that I didn't see it coming. Kimberly is 25. Always the favorite. Beautiful, charming, sweet little Kimmy. Mom used to say, "Kimmy is a gift. And you, Sarah, well, you're our serious one." Dad would smile when Kimberly threw tantrums and frown when I asked questions. Spoiler alert, not much has changed. My parents called right after she invited us over, not to check on me, but to gush about how generous Kimberly was for taking us in. "You should be grateful, Sarah. She's doing her best. It's not easy with 3 kids." 3? She has 2. Well, now it's 3. You and Mia count 2. Cute. Kimberly's house looked like a catalog spread, perfect porch, spotless facade, pastel curtains, a swing set out back. Her husband John is 33, a civil engineer. She's on maternity leave with their 2 kids, 2-year-old Jason and 4-year-old Lily. The kids are loud, adorable, and completely feral. Everything in the house was soft and beige and smelled like vanilla. From day one, it was obvious, I wasn't a guest. I wasn't even temporary family. I was furniture. Background noise. An obligation that talked back. At first, it seemed fine. Kimberly brought me coffee, said she was glad we were here. We ate meals together. She even joked around a little. For a second, I thought maybe, just maybe, things were different now. But on that very first night, I saw it start. "Mia, can you grab the napkins?" "Mia, make sure Lily doesn't climb on the table." "Mia, play with Jason for a minute, I need a quick shower." All said with a sweet tone, like it was nothing. Like it was just helping. By day 3, it wasn't sweet anymore. It was a routine. I spent my days working, test tasks, freelance gigs, job applications. I tried to take up as little space as possible. But Mia? She was making meals, cleaning up toys, reading bedtime stories, watching cartoons, giving baths. She was 15. And she was doing everything but getting paid for it. I tried to brush it off. Temporary. No big deal. But the feeling that we were being used? It got louder every day. I brought it up gently. Kim, I think Mia's getting overwhelmed. Maybe you could hire a sitter a couple days a week. Kimberly laughed. Seriously? Mia doesn't mind. It's good for her. Mia didn't complain. She never does. But I saw how she'd fall asleep at dinner, how she'd do homework on the floor in dim light, how she walked out of the guest room every night looking completely drained. The night before Jason's fall, she whispered to me, "Mom, can I please not play with them tomorrow? I really need to finish my science project." I told her I'd talk to Kimberly. I didn't get the chance. Kimberly had to run to the store, as usual. I said, "Please be quick. Mia has homework, and I need to finish a client task too." She nodded. An hour passed. Then another. I walked into the kitchen. Mia was rocking a crying Lily on her hip while Jason ran around barefoot with cereal stuck to his face. "Where's Kim?" "She left. Said she'd be right back." "When?" "3 hours ago." And that's when it hit me. This wasn't generosity. This wasn't family helping family. This was a trap dressed up in Pinterest colors. A pretty prison with scented candles. I mentioned it to our mom. She messaged me. "You're overcomplicating again, Sarah. Kimberly is trying to help you. Why can't you just be grateful?" Because it wasn't help. It was a setup. And I could feel it building toward something. Then it happened. The fall. A bruise. A doctor saying it's nothing serious. But Kimberly had already picked her scapegoat. I looked at Mia and thought, how did I let them do this to you? This wasn't a mistake. It was a plan. We left in silence. I kept both hands on the wheel, gripping it so hard my knuckles turned white. Mia stared out the window like she was watching a movie she didn't want to be part of. Not a single tear. Not a single word. Just those eyes, full of hurt, and her lips pressed into a line so thin it barely existed. A friend of mine let us crash at her place while I searched for a place, any place, to live. 3 days later, I found a tiny apartment. Peeling walls, kitchen the size of a broom closet. But it was warm, and we could lock the door against the world. I told Mia it was temporary. She nodded, but I could feel something in her had snapped. She tried to hold it together. Did her homework, washed the dishes, folded laundry into perfect little stacks. Too perfect. Too quiet. And every time she looked away, I saw it, that guilt in her eyes. Even though she had nothing to feel guilty for. I kept replaying everything. Kimberly's words. Mia's tears. Her voice whispering, "I just went to the bathroom." I told her, and I believed my daughter. I wanted to believe her so badly. But doubt, it's sticky. It clings to you, even when you know better. And then I remembered. The cameras. John had bragged about them once. We've got everything covered now. Child safety first. Living room, kitchen, hallway, everything was on tape, backed up to the cloud. I remembered that part clearly. I didn't text Kimberly. I messaged John. "Hey. I don't want to fight. It's just, Mia's really upset about Jason's fall. If there's any footage from that day, could you check? Maybe it'll help clear things up. I just want to know what really happened." He responded 2 hours later. "Yeah. I think we should clear it up too. I'll look tonight." The next morning, he texted again. "I found the footage. It shows the moment. Want to see it? Better if we meet." We agreed to meet at a coffee shop. John came straight from work, still in his suit, looking exhausted. Not angry. Not defensive. Just like a man who no longer knew what was happening in his own house. He opened his laptop and hit play. The video started, the living room. The kids were playing. The little one was crawling on the floor, the older one stacking blocks. The camera caught the corner of the armchair near the wall. Kimberly was sitting in it. Phone in one hand, coffee in the other. Scrolling. Zoned out. Mia walked into frame, stepped closer. Aunt Kim, I'll be right back, okay? Can you watch them for a sec? She leaned down a little to make sure she was heard. Kimberly didn't even look up. Just waved her hand like, yeah, whatever. And went right back to scrolling. Mia walked out. The door closed behind her with a soft click. Seconds later, the toddler tried to climb onto the couch, slipped, lost his balance, and thudded to the floor. Kimberly? Still in the chair. Still glued to her phone. Didn't even glance over. It took her nearly 30 seconds to react. Then she slowly stood, set down her mug, and finally walked over to the crying child, like she just now noticed he existed. John sat there, not saying a word. Then he let out a slow breath. She said Mia left them alone. He looked at me. I believed her. I didn't want to get involved. And now I can't unsee this. I shook my head. I didn't want revenge. I didn't want anyone punished. I just wanted anyone, besides me to say, you were right. I asked him to send me the video. He did. When I showed it to Mia, she watched halfway through and then turned away. I told you, she whispered. But you believed her first. I know, I said. But never again. I hear you now. The next day, I sent Kimberly the video link. No threats. No explanations. Just one line. This is the truth. And there's nothing more between us now. She didn't reply. But John called the day after. I filed for divorce, he said, calm and steady. I can't live like this. It's not just this one lie. There's more. So much more. There was a pause. I sent a copy of the video to CPS. I want to make sure the kids are safe. And then quietly, thank you for not staying silent. I hung up the phone and sat down next to Mia. We didn't say anything. She just reached for my hand. This wasn't the end. It was the beginning. The beginning of leaving behind other people's expectations. Of stepping away from fake family. Of finally refusing to tolerate what we'd always been told to endure. I was her mother. And my daughter would never be anyone's target again. The phone rang early in the morning, just as I was about to get out of bed. Mom, said the screen. I stared at that word for a long time, like I was trying to remember what it even meant. Then I picked up. Did you hear? Her voice was sharp. Like I'd missed a test. Hear what? I asked, even though I already knew. John filed for divorce. And he took the kids. Can you believe that? He said you told him everything. That you caused this. I didn't answer right away. She kept going. He's not helping us anymore. No insurance, no support payments, no help with the house. Do you even realize what you've done? There it was. Not a word about Kimberly. Or the kids. Just money. I protected Mia, Mom. The girl you included, tried to blame so you could cover for your precious youngest. And I'd do it again. She sighed, a long, tired, matriarchal sigh. You've always been difficult. Tough. But Kimberly, she's sensitive. She needed support. Support? She used Mia as free labor. And when things went sideways, she threw her under the bus. And you all said nothing. You're exaggerating, she said coldly. Don't call again. Don't worry, I said and hung up. A few days later, John called. His voice was calm, but the warmth was gone. The court gave me temporary custody. I've got a job, a nanny, stability. Her lawyer didn't even argue when I showed them the footage. I stayed silent. I'm sorry things ended up this way. But I'd really like for Mia to visit sometimes. The kids miss her. She's the only one they trust. Only if she wants to, I said. No pressure. And only with an adult present. Not Kimberly. Of course. We have a real nanny now. Not a teenage girl being taken advantage of. He paused. And thank you. For not staying quiet. It changed everything. I didn't see it before. Just make sure you see it now, I said. For the kids. Mia went back for the first time a week later. I walked her to the gate like it was her first day of school. She squeezed my hand. "I'll be okay. It's not like before." "You don't owe anyone anything," I told her. "Remember that." She nodded and went. When she came back, she smiled, for the first time in what felt like forever. "They have a nanny now." She gave me a cookie and told me I'm a guest. Not a babysitter. A guest mom. I sat beside her and hugged her. "I'll remember that moment for the rest of my life." "I'm proud of you," I said. "And none of this was your fault." She didn't say anything. Just leaned against me. But I could feel it in her breathing, steady. For the first time in weeks, she was breathing freely. I saw Kimberly once after that, by the school. She looked faded. Jeans, a wrinkled sweater, messy hair. A shadow of the polished sister who used to give us side eyes for wearing the same outfit twice. She walked up to me on her own. "Think you won?" she hissed. "They took my kids. My husband. My life." "I didn't take anything from you," I said. "You burned it all down yourself. I just made sure my daughter wasn't the firewood." "You're my sister." I looked at her. Slowly. Being sisters isn't about blood. It's about choice. And I made mine. She turned away. I didn't feel anger. Just tired. And relieved. I barely heard anything about my parents after that. Just whispers. That they were cutting back. That John wasn't paying their insurance or helping with the mortgage anymore. I heard Dad even got a job at an auto repair shop. I guess pride doesn't last long once the deposits stop showing up. My mom tried calling a few more times. Left voice messages like, "You know how hard things are for us now. Don't you feel bad for your father? You've changed since you got so close to that Mia of yours." I never replied. Not once. Mia and I moved into a slightly bigger apartment. I landed a solid job, finally. Mia started seeing a school counselor, on her own terms. She sometimes hung out with John's kids, but it was always her choice. Always with boundaries. She didn't jump anymore when an unknown number called. She didn't flinch at the mention of Kimberly's name. One day she said, "I feel like myself again. Or maybe even better than before." There was no revenge. Just air, clean, warm, like after a storm. We didn't win. We just stopped being victims. And that, it turned out, was enough. That's my story. I'm not here for sympathy, and I'm not trying to be a hero. I'm just a mom who finally said enough, and didn't look away when things got ugly. What do you think? Did I do the right thing? Let me know in the comments. I'd really love to hear your thoughts. If this story resonated with you, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. There's more to come, real stories, tough ones, honest ones. Thanks for sticking around.